מי בשיעור שלי?
אלכס סביבנו נפצע, הוא אמר שדווקא להגיע. אהרון יצא להגיע, הוא מאוד יוסף, הוא יוסף קם מבור, צריך להגיע. לא נאמן. סגן שזהו.
Very good, Ron. It's recording, it's live, it's good now. People are asleep, and there's Moshe here. I think. Moshe and Pfeiffer.
אוקיי, בסייעתא דשמיא.
Hello.
יוני יש במלך.
Okay, let's start. סייעתא דשמיא. גברא דאקדיש בשירוי. Today, Bezrat Hashem, we want to explain the proofs of Rabbi Yosef. Really there's a marsho here in the Kohen that explains the proofs. Morning. It's 7b. Okay, Siyata Dishmaya, with the help of Hashem, today, hopefully, be able to work on the two opinions, the two Ikad Amre about Shiroi. And with that, to understand the proofs of Rabbi Yosef. Okay, this is what we want to do today. So let's start. Augaba was this man. Yani, move a little bit. Move a little bit. Bianca, space here. Good. Okay, with the help of Hashem, we're going to start the Zainamud base. Augavra de Agdish B'Shiroi. Was this man that married a woman with Shiroi means silk cloth. With silk. Rabbi Maloy Tzich Rabbi says we don't need an appraisal. Rabbi Yosef Amatzich we need an appraisal. The Gemara wants to clarify what's the argument. So there's two opinions in the Gemara. What was the argument between Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef? If he said, all what it's worth, get married to me with this, whatever it's worth, There's no argument that you don't need an appraisal. Because I said, whatever it's worth. So you agree, whatever it's worth. So the agreement is there in the worth. We said 50 is not worth 50. Alo Yishov is not worth it. It's not a marriage, not an engagement. The argument when he said 50, then later on it was worth 50. But the moment when he gave it to her, she didn't know if it's worth 50. Rabbi says you don't need Shuma because it's worth 50, and probably she relies on what he says. And Rabbi Yosef you need an appraisal. Since a woman is not professional in appraisal, she doesn't rely on it. Okay, this is the Gemara.
How do we know it's worth 50?
Now today we want to focus. Our goal is to focus on the Ikadam. Okay, this we learned last week. This week we're going to focus on Ikadam. So Ikadam.
How do we know it's worth 50?
They checked it out in the market with an appraisal that is worth 50. Give out this the next day, yeah, afterwards. What? Told how much it's worth. Yes, and later on was found out that it was worth 50. Yes, the marshal. Okay. The marshal. Good. So there are those who say the kol dunami plige. Even if he says whatever it's worth, I'm marrying you, it's also an argument. Even then, Rav Yosef says it's no good. Why? Rav Yosef says, the value of money is like money. Ma kesef the kai, saying money is always cut. Money it's cut. We're in $1, $2 cut. The whole idea of money, of silver plat, was to be cut price. And that's the money, and everything else is worth of the money. Everything else is fruit. But kesef money, it's today we have paper money, which has numbers even. Those days even in that paper when we had silver, pieces of silver, but the size represented the worth. It was a set worth. A dime, a nickel, whatever we have today, was worth. Those days was puto, etc. Puto, dino, sela. So ma kesef the kites. When I marry a woman with kesef, it's cut price. Ashve kesef nami the kites. Even the value of money is also to be cut. So now, when I marry a woman with a piece of cloth of silk, and I say whatever it's worth, call the who, whatever it's worth. Marry me with this, whatever it's worth, whatever they are. So Rav Yosef does not enough. Why? Because not cut price. I agree to the price, is not enough to agree. Which means before the argument with Rabbi Rav Yosef, does a woman rely on his words, that his words 50? Or even say whatever. So when she agreed, whatever it's worth, she agreed. So she relied. When he said a price 50 and we don't know if it's worth 50, so she's according to Rabbi Yosef, she's not relying. She's not professional in appraisal. She doesn't rely. Lo sam chodaito. Ikadam says nothing with simichus das as to be as cut price. Money is because we learned value of money as like money. So the same way money is cut, value of money when you give materials has to be a cut price. I'm asking a question today, which this is really a beginning move to understand what we learned today. When he says, here is a piece of cloth of silk, and it's worth 50. What will be the law according to the Ikadam? They didn't appraisal yet. They didn't appraise it yet. But I cut with my mouth, I cut price.
What? Like, if you say 50. So I like no, check it is worth 50, it's worth.
So a case when I said it's worth 50, so this piece of cloth has a cut price on it. The question is the true price or not.
Well, it's only according to what his words.
Or not. His words. So he's marrying her with a cut money. As far as him and her, they agreed to get married with 50, and he says worth 50. It's only a question if she relies on it or not. Later on, they found out it was worth 50. It's worth 50. The question is, it's a matter of reliance. It's not a matter of cut or not. Cut means appraisal. Cut means cut with your words or cut a price. When he says, I want to marry whatever it's worth, okay? When he marries and he says, Kol do whatever it's worth, so then he didn't cut a price, but there's an agreement, there's a smichus das, or reliance of whatever it's worth, he agreed. But it's not a cut price. I mean, it says it's not a cut price, but when it is a cut price, and I don't know if it's a true price, cut I have, but I don't have reliance. Okay, this is very important. Oh no, cut means with appraisal cut, or cut means with words. I know that.
With their word, it's some kind of appraisal. They ask
What?
They ask appraisal with their word. I make it as 50. So they ask appraisal, but not a professional way.
What does kites mean? Specified. So specified to be professional, specified, or agreement specified. His words of the Mekadesh and her agreement to receive. Okay, so simple, I would say, when there was a cut price between him and her, it fulfills the requirement of Rabbi Yosef. When Rabbi Yosef is not happy, when he says whatever it's worth, it's not a price. But when he says 50, the price is cut, even though we don't know if it's true or not true. So it's only a problem of the first economy of Samchadaita. So the first economy learns that the reason Rabbi Yosef and Rabba is even when he says 50 and it's worth letter 50, but she doesn't rely on him. Do I have, when he says 50, do I have a cut? I have a cut price, but she doesn't rely on him. What? Yes. According to him, he says, okay, but she has to know. Or she's relying on him or not. So the first economy says we have a machloikes. When I say 50 and it's worth 50, you have a machloikes Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef says she doesn't rely. But when he says whatever it's worth, she relies. The second economy says even when I say whatever it's worth, I still have another problem of there's not cut. There's to be a cut price. But when I have a cut price, when I say 50 is worth 50, I don't have a problem with a cut. I have a problem with reliance. It doesn't rely. This is the simplicity way I'm going to learn the Gemara. It's not 100% that's Vadai, what I said. But that's an assumption. That's Pshat. You can say cut means that not only I cut with words, when I say cut means I have to be professional cut. But then we say, no, that's already an extra thing of reliance of the wife. That's a simple zaz. What's this? That's strong. Wow. It used to be a little thing we used to carry, but it barely did anything. This is strong, so you can carry it in a way. I heard that really when you have blowing air, doesn't make it cold. It's just the body feels cold. So he told me. It's the feeling of the body.
Blows away the moisture. The fan is just blowing back the same air right onto you. Yeah, AC has water inside.
It doesn't make it colder. Okay. At least you feel better. Okay, let's go back. What will be when he says stop? He gives her an object and he says, Aran Mekudesh Li, you marry me with this. What? No. If he says, marry me with this, whatever it's worth, you talk about worth, and I agree to whatever it's worth. not a cut price, but I agree whatever it's worth. So no problem with smichus das, a problem of which is worth. But if I say marry me with this, I didn't say any price, and she as it no, but it could be personal usage. He means to say take it for yourself as a personal usage. It could be she's thinking about market value and she has a roller coaster in her mind. Not clear. If he says Aram Kodesh li Bazeh, what do we say there? We say that according to everyone, Eina Mekodeshes. Or we say opposite. We say get married with this means personal usage. According to everyone, to Mekodeshes. You can have two options. And the Gemara didn't speak about it. When he say Aram Kodesh li Bazeh, but Bazeh can be according to everyone Mekodeshes. Bazeh can be according to not Mekodeshes. What are the two sides? When he says Bazeh means personal usage, he says, marry me with this means personal usage, but she's thinking about market value, therefore she's not relying on anything. So when he says 50, she doesn't set a price, you rely on her. She doesn't rely on her. She doesn't rely on her. She does, she doesn't rely on her. Obviously, doesn't rely on her. But when he says marry with this, they talk about any market value at all. He's thinking about personal usage, she's thinking about market, and she definitely doesn't know any price, nothing, she doesn't rely on that at all. And therefore, even Rabbu agreed, ain't no Mekudeshes. Oh no! When he says marry with this, means they both agreed, forget about market values, this with this, your personal usage. And therefore, there's no machlokas, and according to everyone should rely on it. But it's not a cut price. It's definitely not part of cut price, because he didn't talk about any price at all. Oh no, I bypassed the price. When I need to talk about a price, when I talk about market value, so then I already talk about value. I should say cut 50. I just said whatever it's worth, so it's not good. But when I'm not talking about price at all, so I'm talking about maybe a smichus das, nothing to do with price. Personal usage, it may make you just to agree. So maybe I'm bypassing the whole problem of shvek kesek I need a cut price. And according to everyone, maybe kodeshes. You hear my two sides here?
He's saying evaluated. Evaluated, she's concerned with the market value, but
when he gives her an object and he says, marry me with this, he's not talking about whatever it's worth, not talking about worth 50, not talking about nothing about worth. Just, hey, I want to do a kiddushin with the ring. I'm a Kodesh sleep with this ring. I'm not talking about how much it's worth, whatever it's worth, or it's worth 50. I'm not talking about any worth. I'm marrying with this ring. She wants the ring. She wants the shiny red gold, shiny white gold, silver, whatever she wants. She wants it for herself. Looks nice. She puts it on her finger. She's not thinking about selling it. She's thinking about what? If she looks nice with it or not. That's all she's thinking of. It's personal usage, right? So then we say what? We say, marry me with this. Everybody agrees. There's no problem of an appraisal that she relied, not rely, she's not thinking about marketing, she's thinking about personal usage. And therefore, agreement according to Rav Yosef should be mekudeshes. Right? And there's a gmirus das here on this. Oh no! When he doesn't talk about any price, so it's worse. He's talking about personal use, but she's thinking about market always thinking about market, and therefore no price at all. According to the first mandoma, Rav Yosef says everybody, even Rabbi will agree. There's no smichus das. There's not. She didn't talk about any numbers. There's no what to rely on. He said 50. Rabbi says she relies. Rabbi says no, she's not professional. Doesn't rely. But with no numbers at all, and I don't agree whatever it's worth. So it could be it's totally off. Woo, Spirella. It's not. Everybody, even Rabbi agrees on the mekudeshes. And what about kites? There's also no kites. Because I didn't talk about, so according to both opinions, kites means cut price, the second opinion. So it's not cut price, and it's not what to rely on. So it could be according to everyone be any mekudeshes. Okay. This is unclear, we're gonna have to clarify this. So we have here a problem on the table, which the Rishonim represent this. The Rashba was the first one to represent this problem. Rashba and Iran had a problem. What will be the law If he gives her an object and says, marry me with this, he didn't say whatever it's worth. He didn't say 50, marry me bestam. It's called bestam. What does stam means? What does stam means? Ordinary. How do you say in English stam?
Regular.
Regular. No talk, no extra words. Marry me with this. Yes, why didn't you speak about this case? Or you can say, when I say whatever it's worth, and it's part of saying with this, because this always means market value. It's a question. What is the preconceived idea? The preconceived idea that always when he gives something as kesef, as value means value, market value. Oh no, there's such a thing, market value and personal usage. Do we make that split or not? This a question it's a general question which we want to apply to our Gemara. It's a general question. So that's what's the Rashba's problem. And the Rashba concludes. The Rashba says, no, even when he says stam, regular, marry me with this, without whatever it's worth, also there, Rav Yosef, according to the economics, says no good. Why? Because not a cut price. Not a cut price, not only when I talk about price and I don't cut it, so whatever it's worth, marry me whatever, whether it was this, whatever it's worth. Even if I don't talk about worth, so marry me with this, it's included, there's no price on it. And therefore we learn value of money has to be like money, has to be cut price. When I say 50 is worth 50, I talked about price, even though I didn't appraisal it, this should be good according to that Rav Yosef. According to the problem of, according to the economic, the problem is kites. Kites means cut price. When I say 50, I cut the price. When I say whatever it's worth, or when I say stam, it's all part of the same problem, it's not cut. This is the Rashba. And the Rashba proved his opinion from Rav Yosef, the proof of Rav Yosef. So we're going to go through the proof of Rav Yosef. Omar Rav Yosef. It's in Daf Chet Amud Aleph. Meno amino. This is the second proof of Rav Yosef. Yeah, because we only have another 5 and 65 minutes. I'll go through the first. I hope you guys prepare the first. I want to go through the probatic proof. I can go by heart. You know what? I'll glance through the first. You guys prepare the Gemara? Good. So they know it. So let's go to the point. I'm talking about the second proof. Good. Omar Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, where is it? It starts here. Omar Rav Yosef. It's right across Toigoi Rasholem. You have it there? Omar Rav Yosef Nanimelo, the second Omar Rav Yosef. You have it, everybody has it. I want to make sure everybody has it before we start. You have it there in the Gemara, English Gemara? You have it there? It's around here.
I'm trying to find it.
882.
Okay. Square. Omar Rav Yosef, what Yosef says, Meno aminolo. How do I prove this? What I said? How do I know? Meno aminolo. How do I know to say this? From where I said what I said. That what? That when you marry a woman and you say whatever it's worth, it's no good because it has to be a cut price, kites. The Tanya we learned in the laws of Pidyon Aben. Pidyon Aben means firstborn son. Hashem says we have to redeem him with 5 slaim. We have to give to the coin 5 coins of silver, big coins of silver, to redeem his firstborn son. The firstborn sons were supposed to be what? Worship, serving Hashem in the temple. And because they sinned in the golden calf, they lost that power. And the Levites exchanged them and have to pay the Levites as if they pay the Levites themselves, that they redeem them, and they take the job serving Hashem in the temple. Kind of. The Tanya we learned. If the father says this calf is for the sake of redeeming my son, he talks to a Kohen. He meets a Kohen. He says, "Listen, this calf is for the sake of redeeming my son." Or talizeh, this piece of cloth, to redeem my son. Lo yom krum, he didn't say anything. Lo yom krum, he didn't say anything. But if he says this calf is for the 5 slaim that I owe you, this calf will fulfill that debt for my redeemer, my son. Talizu, this piece of cloth, this cloth, bechames slaim with 5 silver, 5 slaim, lepinyabli, is worth 5 slaim to redeem my son. No padui, his son is redeemed. Now here we have a very strange law here.
You don't have to verify the price of the item.
There's no verification of the price. And when I say no price, if I say this style is this calf, it's no good. When I give a price, it's okay. What do we see from there? Like Rav Yosef, the only matter of cutting a price. You have to cut a price. I don't cut a price, no good. So the Gemara says, yes, what do you want to say?
It could be fixed, not cut. It doesn't say.
If he didn't say any price, this calf for my redemption of my son, no good. When he say this calf that is worth 5 shekels, 5 slaim for my redemption, it works. So what do you see? When I cut a price, it's okay. This redemption, redeeming, what's the case? If what? Could be more, but he's forgiving. No change. He didn't care about the extra. He gave. This redemption, what's the case? If it's not worth it, 5. That's why the Reisha says, I say this calf for my redeem my son is not worth it. It's not worth it. So he says, if that's true, so therefore when he does say it's worth 5, has any power in what he says? That is power to say it's worth. So what if he said, "What the hell are you?" Because he said you have to be worth. If it's not worth, so why even when he say 5, it's not in your power to make it 5 when it's not worth 5. So that cannot be. El alav must be not. Even though it's not worth. El alav agav the shov, even though it's worth. The came in no kaitzi loy. Since it's not cut, it's not. Which means I says I have a perfect proof to make my say why? Because what happened? I say it's a split between if I say this calf for redemption of my son, no good. This calf that's worth 5 shekels, it works. What's the difference? I mentioned how much it's worth, or I didn't mention how much it's worth. If it's worth, it's worth. If it's not worth, not. Why? If it's not worth, I cannot make it work. And if it is worth, so what's the difference if I say it and say? Must be, yes, has to be cut price. When I don't talk about a cut price, no good. This is the proof of Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef says there's no proof. Why? He answers, Loi. Rabbi answers, Loi, really it's not worth it. The coin accept upon himself that says worth, which means if he said this calf for the redemption, so there's no acceptance of the coin. Just took it, but he didn't say it's I value it as 50. That's fine. When he says this calf is 5, is worth 5, and really it's not, and he accepted it the way he said, okay, for me it's worth 5. As if he accepted upon himself worth, person can accept upon himself anything he wants, right? It's money. Money he can accept whatever he wants. Therefore, it works. Again, so he agreed. He made it his own value. Okay. Like Rav Kahana, the Gemara brings a story. Rav Kahana was a Kohen, was a big rabbi and a Kohen. Everybody wanted to redeem their children to him. So a big rabbi wanted him to redeem their children by him. Shokal Sudo, he took a scarf. From the house of redeeming the son. Omar he told him, for me it's worth 5 because I'm a rabbi and I need the scarf. The scarf represents rabbinical ordinary and ordination, and therefore for me it's worth 5. So we see a person can say it's worth. So we didn't say any price, it's no good. When we say it's worth 5, and the accept means yes, you're right. For me, it doesn't worth 5, even though it's not worth it. So that's the chiddush of the Braisa Konter Rab. But the Konter Rab Yosef, the Braisa is very simple. If he didn't cut a price, it's no good. When he cut a price, it's good. This is the simple Gemara. Comes the Rashba, and he proves from here his point. Our previous question. We had a question. What was our question? When somebody says to a woman, I want to marry you with this. He didn't say whatever it's worth, and he said it was 50. He didn't say nothing about price and nothing about worth. He says, marry me with this. What will be the law? Rashba says it's part of kol du. It's not cut, it's no good. Could have said no. When you need cut, we talk about worth, you cut. When we don't talk about worth at all, it's personal usage. So can't tell everyone it'd be good or everybody's no good. Rav says no, it's a machloikis. The third possibility is a machloikis. There's not cut. What's the proof? Because the Gemara brought Rav Yosef brought a proof from calf. He says this calf is for redemption. He say this calf is for redemption, whatever it's worth. He says Egel said this calf for pidyon for redemption. It's no good. When they say worth 5 shekel, I talked about numbers. Cut is okay. We see that even when I give with no numbers and no value at all, it's no good unless you make it unless you cut a number. So you see clearly that Rav Yosef also talking about stam. Even though he didn't say whatever it's worth, he just say this calf for redemption, this dollar is redemption. He's not talking about whatever it's worth. Yet still, without talking about 5, without talking about numbers, Rav Yosef is no good. So we see that Rav Yosef's statement, and he says, kol du, I don't have to say kol du, whatever it's worth, marry with this, whatever it's worth. Even I says, marry with this, and I didn't add the word whatever it's worth. It's also part of Rav Yosef's problem, there's not cut. What's the proof? Because Egel's there. Egel said this calf is not a cut price, and I didn't say whatever it's worth. It's no good unless I say 5. So you see clearly, Rav Yosef's statement that you have to say cut, it's even when I say stam, and I don't say kol du, I don't say whatever it's worth. Even I just marry with this. Not talking about worth. Egel zeh, tali zeh, this tali is this. When I say whatever it's worth, I didn't add those words. Yet Rav Yosef is no good unless he say 5. So you see clearly that the statement of Rav Yosef is even a bestam. This is the proof of the Rashba and the Ran to their point. Here's what I want to say.
Exactly. And it's exactly the same case. No difference.
Yes, and there's no difference between marry whatever with this, whatever it's worth, or just marry with this. It's all the same. It's not cut price. I would say it's no good.
It's Lemar Freya, though.
Yes, what?
Actually, that is
Why? But it's different. It's not the same. So I say marry me with this, whatever it's worth. I talk about worth, and I agree whatever it's worth. And I say and I say marry me with this. I can say I'm not talking about worth. I'm talking about personal use. Must be that the Rashba understands that always it's worth. Even I say whatever marry with this. I'm thinking about price, market price, and there's no personal usage. Both, according to everyone, yes. According to everyone, when I talk about marry me with this, I'm talking about market price. And if he has to be cut, I said not cut is no good. Market price, so according to the first Sikadam, she doesn't rely on it. So according to Rav Yosef, yes. I'm sorry. She relies on it. There's a problem when she relies. Part of kol du. Yeah. Stop mean whatever it's worth. She took him and she's willing to say whatever it's worth. They say stop that she agrees whatever it's worth. And the second Rav Yosef Ikadam holds, and even though I mean stop whatever it's worth, it's no good because I need a cut price, not whatever it's worth. It's a cut price. Has to be kaitz. Cut price. The Raja is proving from the Ikadamre that kol du stam is part of kol du. So therefore, even according to the first shot, Stam is part of Koldu. What? Right? Yes. Okay, now we want to wiggle out from this problem, okay? Because this is the Rajos proof. That's the way he learns the Gemara. We have here Gaon Mivilna. That's it. I don't know. We don't know. I'm going to open out the Gaon Mivilna. Everybody, I printed out the Gaon Mivilna to everyone. It's a big print. You don't have? Did you take it before?
What?
I gave out before.
I printed it.
Okay, good. So you printed it, no? Yes, no, that's not the Gaon. This is the Gaon. I gave out before papers. Because he's talking about the Rashbo and Ra. Melech, you Melech. Sila med Aleph, Aleph for me uchule. However, now the Gaon Mivilna speaks very short, okay? So you have to be really careful what he's saying. The Masha Om Rushom. Whatever they said there, it's a abbreviation. You see the Mamash, the Mashash, the Masha Om Rushom, whatever they said there. Bekoldu Loy. The Masha Om Bekoldu, whatever it says, the word Koldu, what is Koldu, whatever it's worth. What is Koldu, whatever it is. Loy Doma Lo Befegush. The Koldu. Not that he said clearly the word Koldu, whatever it's worth. Not like Rashi, he said clearly whatever it's worth. I'm marrying with this, whatever it's worth. No, according to Rashi, I didn't say it clearly. Ella rather, no san lo stam. He gave her stam. What is stam? Regular. He gave her regular. So when I say whatever it's, you marry with it, whatever it's worth, or marrying with this, it's all the same. So according to Rav Yosef and Rabbi, according to the first Ikanam, she relies on it. According to the problem that is not cut, Ikanam, Rav Yosef is not cut, not kite, and not kite. What's the proof that I don't have to say clearly, marry me with this, whatever it's worth? No, even marry me with this, without adding whatever it's worth, I'll bring you a proof that is the saying that is, according to the Lashon of Smichus Das, you have Smichus Das? According to the language that is not cut price, not cut price. I'll prove what's the proof is the saying? From what has been said, Omar Rav Yosef, later on, Rav Yosef says, Meno amilolo. How do I know what I said? The Tanya Egelzeh. This calf. V'sham in that brisa that I said, when I say Egelzeh, this calf, this talis is no good. For redemption is no good. Unless I say 5 shekels. There, when I say this calf, I didn't say this calf, and I didn't add whatever it's worth. I said this calf for redemption. V'sham b'delo malo b'choldu. There, I didn't say whatever it's worth. And yet the Gemara brought a proof from that case. Rav Yosef brought a proof that b'choldu, when I say whatever, marry me with this, is like b'choldu, whatever it's worth is the same. And I brought a proof that the problem is it's no good because I didn't cut a price. Rashbo. V'chenu baran. This is a proof of the Rashbo and also the Ram. Now comes the Gaon Mivilna. He explains how they learned the sugya number 1. And the questions we mentioned before. I'll explain in a second. And because of that, the whole Gemara turns to one way. Let's see what he says. Berot wants to say. The Belishne Bas, the second Ikadamre, the second Lishne Basra Ikadamre, Bechol Dehu Nami Plige Rav Yosef, Bechulei. Kites, Bechulei, which means the second Ikadamre says, even when he says, I want to marry you with this, whatever it's worth. Rav Yosef says it's no good because even though she relies, whatever it's worth, there's no problem of reliance. But there's a problem that the Torah says it's to be cut price. It's to be similar to kesef. Value of money has to be like money has to be cut price. Kites. This is the Gemara. It quotes of the Gemara. What? No. The first economics everybody agrees. But the second economic, the second one says Bechol do is an argument. Right? Good. Lotzaloima wants to say it. He says, how does the Rash Ben Aran learn? Lotzaloima, this is very important. When he says marry me with this or marry me whatever it's worth, as long as I didn't talk about price, I'm out. But he said if it's 50 and it's worth 50, even though you didn't check it, and more than that, and even it's worth more, like he said, the calf is worth more than 5. Who kites, but it's still cut because we talked about a cut price. Our agreement is on a cut. I took numbers. As fine. The half Sheshova Yosef, even though it's worth more, came on Shemoch. He forgave the extra. He doesn't want odif. He doesn't want to change. Keep the change. Again. Let's go over here. The Rashba learns. This is the way the Kohen explains the Rashba. The Rashba learns that the Iked Amre that says, the Koldu, Rav Yosef argues, Koldu means even stam, not necessarily that I said whatever it's worth. Even when I didn't say, I just say, marry me with this. Either way, it's no good, it's not cut. But if I say 50 and I didn't check it, only later on I checked it, and even later on I found it's worth more, I talk about 50 means I forgive you, I'm forgiving on the rest, and only no change, and therefore it's cut price between me and you. For me and you, it's cut, why it's cut? But we're worth more, and you have to give me change. If you have to give me change, and I say it's 50 and it's worth 80, you have to give me change, not cut. But if I say 50 means take it as is 50, and whatever is extra is yours, so it's cut. It's the Kiddush of the Goy. The Goy holds. Even when I say this calf is with 5 shekels, chamesh laim, but the calf is worth more than chamesh laim. A calf is worth, who knows what, 100 slaim, right? Calf normally is worth a lot, much more than chamesh laim, more than 5 silver coins, much more. Yet, why it's cut? What? I said 5 or 50, whatever I said. So if it's worth whatever I said, or even more, means I take whatever, at least 50 I have it, and the change is yours. I forgive the rest, and therefore it's considered cut. But if I had to bring back the change, you can't say it's cut, because I made up 50 or 5, and it's worth more. You have to give me change. It's not cut. Even my price is not cut. So when do I say I don't need an appraisal? Because I forgave whatever it's worth more. If it's worth less, one second, if it's worth less, there's no marriage, there's no redemption. But if it's worth more, the same or the more, I don't care. So therefore it's considered cut. It's definitely, whatever it's worth more or it is or more, it's cut. That's what's called considered cut. As you could have said, what the Goyen is challenged with a big problem. Who says when I say 50 and it's worth 50, it's considered cut? Maybe I need cut means I need an appraisal. I need to have a professional appraisal that says it's 50 and then means it's cut. But it's not professional and I made up a number, it's not considered cut. Goyen says no, it is cut. Why? Because you could have said, I want to explain another way to learn the Gemara, which the Goyen Mevila wants to remove. Could have said, when the Gemara says, Bechol dunami pligi. They're arguing not only when I say 50 and it's worth 50, even when I say whatever it's worth, also Rav Yosef said I'm good. Why also? Because I need cut. Whatever it's worth is not cut. And even when I say 50, it wasn't appraisal, it's also not cut. So when I say 50, and even it's worth 50, I have 2 reasons why it's no good. One is I don't rely on Rav Yosef before the first economic. Number 1. Number 2, my words is nothing. Cut means to be appraisal, professional cut. I could have said. He said no. He comes to Goy Mevila and says no. One time he didn't want to say what he says. He can argue. Comes to Goy Mevila and says no. When I say 50 and it's worth 50 or more, it's cut. I say I don't want change. On what way it's cut? But if it's worth 49, no marriage. So where's cut? But definitely, if it's worth the same or more, it's cut. So for me, it's a cut number. We agreed that if it's 50 or more, keep the change. I worth out as a 50. That's called cut. And therefore, Rav Yosef will say when I say 50, it's no problem when I say 50 and it's worth 50. Because even if it's worth more, it's still the same, keep the change. So it's considered cut, and therefore, since it's cut, Rav Yosef doesn't argue there. When Rav Yosef argues, when I say whatever it's worth, or I say stop, marry me with this, or I add whatever it's worth. In those cases, Rav Yosef says, it's not cut price out.
According to the second Yosef argument, for sure, according to everybody, Yosef argues by both cases. The second number two. Sure, he argues by both cases. He for sure argues because the Gemara says no. So he for sure is arguing in both cases. Okay?
No. Okay, go ahead.
Sure, he's arguing in both cases. The only question is, what are the two things he's arguing? That's the question. Sure, in the case of Holy, while it is code, sure that. The question is, in the other case, what is the point of the argument? Why did he argue this? Okay. Then you have two ways of looking at parts, like the Rosh Hashanah explained, that could be lacking the quality of parts. But at this point, the Rabbi Vilma argued and said, no, it does have the quality of parts.
Right.
And what about quality?
So where's the Nami? So where's the Nami?
Nami is mitzad the other reason.
Right, the other reason of Simchius Mechus Das.
So therefore, but according to the other way, you don't have to have two reasons.
Where's the other way? We don't go to Nami.
That parts is lacking in both cases. And you don't have two reasons. You have only one reason.
Right. Rav Yosef says in both cases, it's not cut.
So in one Lashon, you have one reason. You have two reasons. Here, he says,
That's without the Goy Mivin. Without the Goy Mivin, I would learn that the Kadamre says, Rav Yosef says a whole new reason. Value of money has to be cut. So when I say marry me with this, whatever it's worth, it's not cut. Or when I say 50 and it's worth 50, it's not cut because I didn't bring an appraisal. I didn't prove my numbers. So a cut has to be not only cut with word, it has to be cut with proof, with approval. Because it could be worth less. That's one side. So then when Rav Yosef says Called Dunami means not only when I say 50 and later on it's worth 50 is no good because I didn't prove my words. Even when I say whatever it's worth, it's not cut, no good. This is one way to learn. The Goy says no. Point to the Rajban, that's not what he learns. Because he says when I say marry me with this or I say with this whatever it's worth, it's not cut price. When I say it's 50 and it's worth later on 50, means it's a cut number. Why? Because I mean if it's worth 50 or more, I forgive you on the more. So it's cut. I cut for me and you. Just want to marry whatever it is, whatever it's worth for me as 50, and if it's worth more, if they change, keep for yourself. It's a cut price for us. If it's worth less, okay, I'm out. So I lied. But if it's worth 50 or more, it's cut because I cut it.
I need an appraisal all the time.
That's one way. That's the first one. Second way is when it's worth less, it's out. When worth 50 or more, we agreed that it's 50, and therefore to keep the change, that's what's considered cut. Cut with my words. I cut my which word. One way I cut that I agreed in my power. In my power, when I said 50, I'm agreeing to forgive the extra if there's extra. That's 50. So which means I cut the price between you and you. It's cut on one side. If it's worth 50 or more. So therefore, Rabbi Yosef will admit. So what does it mean, Nami? So what does it mean, but Kol Du Nami, whatever it's worth, also Rabbi Yosef argue. What is the also? But when I say 50 and it's worth 50, we said it's cut. But there's another problem of Lo Smichus Das, which means according to this, the Kadam holds both. According to the way the Goy Mivuna is learning right now, the Kadam is saying I hold both reasons. The first reason was when I say it's 50, and later on I found that it's worth 50. She didn't rely. In the moment, she didn't know it's worth it. So she didn't rely. Comes Rabbi Yosef and he says, I have another reason. I have another reason saying there's not cut. So when I say 50 and it's worth 50, it was not a problem of a cut, according to that side. Where I argue when I said I marry whatever it's worth. Marry me whatever with this, whatever it's worth. And there's a problem of cut. There, I have a problem with a cut. But when I say 50 and it's worth 50 or more, there's no problem of cut, but there's a problem of not reliance. And I also argue. So the nami goes not only when I don't have a problem of cut, I still have a problem of not smichus das. This is the way the Goyim Vilna is learning. I could have learned not like him. I said I could have learned what does nami goes, that always I need cut. And when I say whatever it's worth is not cut. When I say 50, and later on I found it's 50, but I didn't prove my 50, so it's also not cut. And it's a whole different reason on both.
Rashba must learn this way. Rashba must. The half of the Rashba has to say. We'll have to see what he says.
The Rashba learning that in 50, when it's worth 50, it's considered cut, because the cut means that if it's worth more, the change is yours.
It's arguing.
What?
You can say why it has to be. It has to be. It's arguing about the second thing that there's some kadaita that the Chamshi.
Okay, good. So now he continues. For the pligi, by the way, everybody follow the Melech. You followed. I saw you understood. You followed it. It's not complex. Yeah. What?
It's very complex.
So let's go over it slowly. I want to get people to get the complication. Not understand.
I got shots.
Okay, but I'm gonna repeat it. Okay, for myself. Okay? That's a better way. Blame myself is to be more clear. If I'll lay out the two ikadamris in the Gemara, right? One case is when he says, whatever it's worth, marry me whatever it's worth, as is whatever it's worth. The Gemara says nobody argues, everybody agrees, and it's okay. Why? There's no problem of not agreeing, not relying. She agreed whatever it's worth, she relies whatever it's worth. When there's an argument, when they say it's worth 50, he didn't prove it. Later on, he proved it. So Rabbi says you should rely on it. Rabbi Yosef says she doesn't rely. She's not professional in appraisal, she doesn't rely. Ika da Amre, the Gemara says, second shot is that even when he said whatever it's worth, there's still an argument. Rabbi says no good. Why? Because there's a new reason that has to be a cut price. Because value of money is not like money. Same way money has to be cut, the price is cut. When I give an object, it has to be cut price. Give me a tag. And when you buy a ring, it has a little tag. How much is it worth? How much is worth? When you marry a woman with money, with value of money, it has to be with a price tag. Cut price. Okay? Good. This is what the Gemara says. The question is, what happens when he said, marry me with this, without saying any price tag on it? I didn't say whatever it's worth. Marry me with this. He didn't say whatever it's worth. Saying that according to the second reason that has to be cut, when I say marry me with this, whatever it's worth, or marry me with this is the same. But I didn't say how much it's worth. Or I just marry me with this, but I didn't talk about the price altogether. So it's not cut price. Kal v'chomer also not part of cutting prices all out. And he says, when the Gemara says Zikad Amre, the kol dunami pligi, the also argument called what does the kol dunami means? What will be if I say 50 and it's later on it was worth it, but I didn't prove, I didn't bring an appraisal on the 50 before I gave it to her? Do we say it's cut price? And what way it's cut price? I said verbally 50, but she agreed. What does she agreed mean and he agreed? He agreed and she agreed that if it's worth less is out. But if it's worth 50 or more, she keeps a change. So it's a cut price. Since it's a cut price, even Rabbi Yosef will agree that it's okay. So what does it mean? Bekol dunami pligi. Rabbi Yosef says, also whatever it's worth is also machlokes. What is the word also? Not only in the case when I say whatever it's worth, even when I say 50. But we just said when I say 50 and it's worth 50, Rabbi Yosef admit that it's okay. So what it means also means, because I have another problem. The first problem that she doesn't realize smichus das. Although there's no problem of cut price because he cut price in his mouth. So there's a problem of no smichus das because he didn't prove the price is out. That's clear. Very good. This is what the Goyim
Yeah, but Rav Yitzchak,
Goyim says.
Rav
What you
Yitzchak,
said now. Yes.
yeah, but Rav Yitzchak,
Yeah, I'm listening to you, Rabbi Chaim.
so it's
Yes,
if it's worth more, and they just keep the change, that's not called cut. That's a mailer. It's a totally,
But cut with your words.
there's a totally in there.
You agreed to cut this
Yeah,
price.
but if it's
But
worth
the cut-
more,
the-
if it
the-
turns
the
out to
cut
be worth
goes on
more,
top. Normally cut goes on. Rabbi, normally
whole
when
thing.
I cut a price, it's a cut for always. And the whole thing here, if it's worth less, I'm out. But in what way it's cut, that if it's worth more, I agree to keep the change. So it's a cut price.
okay, so that's
I'm marrying with 50 and whatever it is, it's like 50.
so you made it tie.
In that sense, I fulfill the requirement of cut price. It's not only with my mouth, it's not only my mouth.
Okay,
You
you
understand, cut with your mouth, that's not enough. But it means that you cut the price means you made an agreement that even if it's worth more, you keep the change. That's cut. So what's the difference between an appraisal? He proved that's the price. Nobody can argue on an appraisal, a professional appraiser. Same thing is when I agree with you, it's worth 50. It means even if it's worth 30, I give you. That's called cut price. That's the cut. So it's a kite. You understand? That way, I fulfill that.
It's a type. It's a type of cut.
So what does it mean? I also argue in Mikoldu, but you say by 50, everybody agrees. No, you're right. 50, everybody agrees. And the cut. The first problem that there's no smichus das. And I say it's 50. Maybe she's sick. Maybe it's worth less. No smichus das. That's why it's out. Okay. Now comes the Goyim Vilna, and it continues. I'm reading now in the last line.
There's no sound. There's no sound.
No, when I say Chamishim is worth 50, but it needs proof. Lo Yishuma is not still no problem. Which problem? Not Kait. The first problem. The Nami Lo Rak Yesh Bayashe Shuma, he adding now Bayav Kait. The one who holds Kait, he doesn't argue with Shuma. He says, I have another problem. I have an addition problem. He can argue because I have an addition problem of Kait. But Kait would not be a problem when I say 50. When I say 50, it's worth 50. It's not a problem of Kait. Will be a problem of not reliance, of smichus das. Not only smichus das, not any part of kite. And by cold will stop with problem. That's the way to go. That's right. Now, V'omar Rav Yosef. Turn the page. Turn the page. The Tanya Egel, the Chule. The Gemara brings a proof. Rabbi Yosef brings a proof to what? Now here it's tricky. What's exactly the proof? To which language? It's a help for the second language. That what? If he says a calf stam, no price, stam or ziz, it's the same out. When I say bechamesh, when I say a number, shepadu, I don't need. When I say chamesh, I don't need to bring an appraisal to have smichus das. I only need what? I only need cut. I have cut. But what about it? But we just said that we hold two reasons. Going to the Ikanam, going to where the going to be learning. We're learning two reasons. Not only problem of smichus das, I have a problem of cut. So now when he says egel zeh, I have two problems: not cut and no reliance. When I say 5 shekels, bechamesh, I only solve the problem of cut. But I didn't solve the problem of smichus das. Says no, I did. Why? What about the first reason? What about the first reason of no smichus das? It's not shaykh. Why? Though gavra bekibeshum, a woman, but gavra, man, is professional shuma. Aval bereish egel stam. Okay, but the lokait's law is not cut, is out. Stop. This is very clear. Say, the Gemara brought a proof from Rabbi Yosef for proof. If I say, I want to give you this calf for redemption, no good. This calf, there's 5 shekels, 5 slayim, it's good. What's the difference? So let's think of it. According to Lishna Basra, Rabbi Yosef says I have 2 reasons why it's no good. Number 1 has to be cut. Number 2 has to be smichus das. So smichus das is out of the window. Why? Only a woman. When I say 50 and it's worth 50, only a woman doesn't really like it because she's not professional in shuma and appraisal. But a man he knows. A man, a coin knows an appraisal. He deals with buying, selling. He knows. He realizes. He knows. There's 5 days where he knows what it is. He knows the reality. A man needs to know. If you're a man part of the world, you have to know. If you're a man, you have to know. So it's not a problem. Not a woman. You're part of the strong side of the world. Of doing business in the world is with the sweat of your eyebrow. You have to eat bread. So you have to put your part of it. It's part of the kolala, part of the curse. So you know the shub. No problem of shub, there's a problem of kites. When I say this calf, I didn't talk about a price, no good. When I say 5, I get a price. It's kites. What about when I say what about when I say 5 and it's worth 5, so it's cut. But I don't rely on it. A man, not a problem of a man. A man relies. What about when I say this calf? There's a problem of cut. What about? There's only problem of cut. So therefore, we brought a proof that the problem is only with cut. How do I know? To have an additional reason that when I say whatever it's worth or married with this is a problem of cut. Not only smichus is a problem of cut. From Pidyon Aben. Pidyon Aben, there's no problem of non-reliance because a man, there's a woman doesn't know price. So we talk about numbers and she doesn't know, she doesn't rely. But when I tell a Kohen this is 5, a man knows prices. He's the man, he needs to know. He's the brain behind the house. Has to do business, has to know. When he says 5, so there's no problem of smichus das, right? There's no problem of the first reason, only problem of what? Of cut, it's cut. I said 5. But when I say this calf, I have a problem. It's not cut. What about the other problem of no reliance? It's a man and relies. This is what he says. One said. He said, but if you're going to say. Okay.
Indicate the fraud.
Yeah.
He really needed to follow the fraud. They couldn't say what he said.
Right. Only because he held, when I say 5, it's cut because my words cut it. It means that even if it was worth more, it's yours. That's the cut. That's the big Kiddush of the Goyim. That's cut. So Meile, it's a proof to the Lishna Basa that it's cut. Can I explain this Gemara? Yes. That's what it says. Bim Isa. And if you're going to say, what? Yeah, he's going somebody else. I'm going to prove the cold do stop. The cold do stop. Yes, let's continue. Bim Isa. And if it's true, Bim Isa. Bim Isa. The Lelishna Kama Bakol do Dafka. If you want to say, according to the first answer, first Ikadamre, the Bakol do Dafka, if you want to say, not like the Rashboy Nera, that when he says, marry me, whatever, with this, whatever it's worth is Badafka, only then, according to the problem of Smichuzdas, then there's a Smichuzdas. But when I marry, it says, marry me with this. I didn't say whatever it's worth. So everybody agrees it's no good. You want to say that? Why it's no good? Because you're talking about personal use, and I'm thinking about market, and talking about any price, and then you agree to any price, so there's no smichus das at all. If you're going to say like that, therefore you have to conclude. The bestam, when I give an object, I say, marry me, whatever it's this, whatever it's worth. Rabbi will agree that she's not married. Why? Why is she not married when I say, marry me with this? I didn't talk about with this, whatever it's worth. Just marry me with this. Rabbi will agree that it's no good. Why? Because you're talking about personal usage, and I'm thinking about price, market price. And you give me any market price. When I say, marry me with this, whatever it's worth, so there's an agreement, then whatever it's worth, it's worth. The question is, there's a reliance on that. We say everybody agrees, I rely on it. But when I just give, I marry with this, another whatever it's worth, so there's no agreement, whatever it's worth. There's an agreement just to take what you gave me. So we can think two different lines. You're thinking about a line of you personal usage, and I'm thinking about a line of selling it. And I don't rely on how much it's worth. There's no kiddushin and kodeshes. Even Rabbi will admit that there's no smichus das at all in the kodeshes. You can say everybody agrees in the kodeshes, because we both agree just personal use. That's why I said before last. It's too late. So the Goin says everybody's in the kodesh. But either way, according to everyone in the kodeshes, or according to everyone the kodesh, either way it will be the same proof. Why? You can say, once again, you can say, listen, relax. You can say, when he says, marry me with this, without talking about market price, everybody agrees it's Mekudeshes. Still, it wouldn't be good. So they can explain. No, you can write either way. Ain't a Mekudesh or Mekudeshes, but if we both agree, again. I'll explain that. The Echis is, either way is the same. I'll explain in a second. You'll see it. I don't want to mix people up. But you need to say the bestam rabbe nami moidi denim kodeshes. When he says the word stam, marry me with this without going to any price, even Rabbe will admit she's not kodeshes. Why? The beplukta de loy bekiye beshumo loy shayach. The argument, according to the first economic, that she's not professional in appraisal is not shayach. When I say stam. Not shaykan. A woman's not professional, but a man, that's by a woman. But by a man knows prices. So when I give her, again, if I want to say, there's a difference in when he says, marry me with this, whatever it's worth. Everybody agrees that it's good because she agreed to a price, whatever it's worth. But when he says, marry me with this, everybody agrees it's no good. If that's the case, that's only a problem between a man and a woman, that a woman is not professional. So when you don't say a price, you say, marry me with this, without saying whatever it's worth. Everybody agrees, even Rabbi admits, no Mekudesh, only why? Because a woman doesn't know about prices. So even Rabbi admits that we don't talk about any price, and I don't agree to anything, just say, marry me with this. Rabbi says, not Mekudesh. That's only by a woman. But by a man that doesn't care about the price, a man means a man that's the first case, a man is the Kohen that receives redemption for the son. He's a man, and he gives, I want to give you this cat. Everybody should agree. It's not shaykh here a problem of biki. So everybody should agree that what? That it works. If so, and can see you there's no help for the second language. Why? the whole comma the Rabbi Pligin up Bestam. We don't say that the Rabbi argues also Bestam. We say again. So if Rabbi doesn't argue with Stam, and he says, I'm only arguing, Rabbi is only arguing when I say whatever it's worth. So Rabbi says it's not cut, Rabbi says it's good. But when I say Stam, there's no argument. And here by a calf, I said Stam. And there's no argument. Everybody agrees no good, or everybody should agree this good. By a woman, everybody agrees no good. And by and no, so but the Gemara says Egel says no good. The Gemara says no good. See, either way it's no good.
But the second case is not Stam. First case is Stam. Second case is not
Talking about the first case that is Stam that the Mishnah says no good.
Stam, then you can explain price that goes to Rabba.
So according to Rabba, it's no good. Stop.
Only one passage.
Either way, once we I understand that, Rabbi. I'm saying. So now, if we say that Bekol Bestam is not part of the sugya here, and there Rabbi says for sure will be good or no good, let's say no good. Once again, even say it's no good, so then, even Rabbi can understand the Mishnah Brisa. Egel say,
no.
I says no good, right? The ratio. So it works with Rabbi. And even we'll say, right, because if the Gemara is asking against Rabba, Rabbi Yosef is asking against Rabba, must be that Bestam, even Rabba argues. So therefore he has a proof to him and not to Rabba. But if Rabba admits Bestam, so then there's no proof because he is a case of Stam. That's what he said. So he's saying now, what will be the law by Stam? Rabba says he admits that if you would say like the Rashi, that Bestam there's no argument. So there everybody agrees, and here everybody says redeem because there's no Shaykh Shuma. But there's no argument, it's not part of the argument, it's out of the argument. So therefore, well, Rabbi Yosef bring a proof when the case is not part of the argument. That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't matter. You understand? So by Kiddush, everybody is in here, not Shaykh Shuma. Everybody with Kiddush is not part of the argument. So how can you bring a proof from a case is not part of the argument? Must be that the argument is not only whatever it's worth, Holder means even marry me with this. And therefore we bring a guy from Egel Zeh, which is a case of Stam. Rabbi Yosef brings a proof. There's a problem of kites. Simple. That's it. Yes. Yes. Yes.
It's already implemented. When we say Egel Zeh, I already basically say and it's worth by blood.
Right.
By a woman, when you say, if I tell her, by a woman, there's no set price for Kiddushin.
Right. So therefore, our mind stops wondering. She doesn't rely.
So by
Stam ain't no Kodesh according to everyone. That's what he says. By Stam, by a woman, even Rabbi admits I'm a Kodesh because she needs to agree. You talk about the prices. She doesn't know what's going on. But by Pidyon Ben, that that there has to be a set price of 5 shekels, and he accepted it, means he agrees. Everybody says will be says everybody agrees. The woman doesn't know a praiser. She's not a professional praiser.
Doesn't know that
She knows that, but But when you talk about when you give, no, accept means I accept, but I'm not relying. A mind starts a roller coaster. We said the svara is when a woman needs to be agreed. She's thinking, I want to tell you a story. She understand this better. Most girls. I have Baruch Hashem 13 girls. Hashem bless. Shloshas girls. I have 13 girls. Now, Baruch Hashem. So I know this very well. You know what girls care when they get an engagement ring? What they care? They show their friends they got a better ring, better diamond from their friends. That's all they care. If you can get them a diamond that looks a fake diamond, looks like a real diamond, is worth 1 shekel, they don't care. Okay, this women are out. They build what people say. What build things? How do people say compliment? This is the nature of women. Created that. It's a different creation. It's a reality. It's for good and for bad. It's a different reality. So women, personal usage. She's thinking I can show it off and show everybody how much I was worth in the eyes of my husband. Show off how much I was worth in the eyes of my husband. That's what they think. That's how they work. To the level, a woman, according to some opinion, she's not allowed to walk around with a ring on Shabbat in public domain. Why? Because girls will say, can you show me? Can you please let me see your ring? And they want to put on their finger how they look with it. When a girl gets engaged, she goes to the school, back to school, her friend. And what do they do all day long? A ring is taken off to all the girlfriend. They charge. This is real. They put on their fingers. Yeah, they have Hashem girls to get married. That's reality. And they check it on their fingers. How does it look on it? It looks good, or you got it basically. That's how it works. Different reality. Different reality. Different reality. I remember one time I had a nephew and he wanted to get married to this rich girl, and he was a poor boy. So my wife lent him $20,000, $20,000, a lot of money, to buy a big diamond. Because she knew in order for this engagement to take her to work, she's a rich girl, she has to have a big diamond like a rich girl. She had a small diamond, it wouldn't work. And it took my nephew maybe 1 or 2 years to pay back the $20,000 after he got married. Paid $500, $1,000 a month, paid back, just because he understood, my wife understood, this is the way the marriage would work. And it worked. And it worked. Somebody asked a big rabbi in Tel Aviv to receive from charity, Shiva Boka, that receives money from charity. She receives money to buy a beautiful dress for a woman, expensive dress, or a ring, a nice ring. Can you accept from charity? It was considered extras. He says not extras. It's a necessity. Depends on the girl, which level. On her level, whatever his level is, it's a necessity. You can even receive from charities. I had a relative of mine, and that was the answer. Okay, a little bit more. This we did the going to Vilna shot. It's only one shot. Okay. Now we're going to go into another possibility. This is the garage road. Now we're going to learn Toises. So let's see Toises. There's a small Toises here on the page. We have to see the Maharsho. I gave her the papers on the Maharsho. Menoa Nemilo, the Tanya Eagles there. You see the small Toises? Third Toises on the page. Lelish Nekamo Maisirayo. They bring a proof. Lelish Nekamo. We just said the proof is Lelish Nebasa. That when he say goes there, it's stam, it's not cut. When I say bechamesh, I say a number, cut. He learns no. Lelish Nekamo Maisirai. The proof is according to the first proof. First of all, let's go. What's the first opinion? What was the first proof? Let's go over again. The first proof was, the first opinion was that when he say whatever it's worth, everybody admits that she's mekudeshes, because he say marry me with this or whatever it's worth. So this is mechuzdas. When he says 50 and it's worth 50, right? Machloikis, then you have an appraisal on. So what's the raya here? Omar Rav Yosef. When he says Egel Zeh, means Egel Zeh is worth 5, because the Torah said 5. So I say, this Egel, I want to redeem myself with this Egel. How much? 5. I don't have to say the word 5. The Torah said 5. So it's a big deal. I said 5 and it's worth 5. No good. Why? Because he doesn't rely. Doesn't know how much it's worth. When I say, that's
what men do know.
It means when I bring
men do know.
When I say 5, doesn't mean words. When I say 5, Egel means I bought a proof, I bought an appraisal, then it's worth. This is the way the Maharsha is learning Pshat in this room. It's very hard. Very hard. But we have to add a few things here, and I want to put one against the other. One Pshat against the other. This is our goal today. Okay? Toisa says, the Toisa says that the proof of the Gemara is going to Lishna Kam. That what the Lishna Kama says, that when I say whatever it's worth, everybody agrees that it's smichus das. When I say 50 and it's worth 50, it's an argument. Say here, he says, that's our case exactly. Rabbi Yosef says, who says, Egel said, this calf, it's like saying 50 is worth 50. Why? Because when I say this calf for redemption, means redemption of the Torah. And it's written in the Torah 5. So if I said 5, so when I say 5 and it's worth 5, no good because there's no reliance. No smichus das. But here it's a man and there it's a woman. What's the connection? Now is the going to Vilna's proof. So how, what's the raya? There it's a man, here's a man, here's a woman. He said still, by a woman, when I say 50, I didn't prove it's 50, she's not reliance. That's by silk, by calf and by talis. When I said it's worth 50 and it's worth 50, still, I don't rely too, even you're a man, not only a woman, even a man, you're out. That's what you have to say, even though it's a big chiluk. I have to say that by a calf it's not clear, and by a tal is not clear. By silk, shiny silk, that's a women clothes, because women want shiny clothes, shiny. When you talk about 50, there's an argument a woman relying on. But by a calf and by talis, a kohen, it's like a woman, not by silk, and he doesn't know the numbers, and therefore, when you say 50 and you prove it's 50, it's no good. Because yes, and even yes, and when I say Egel Zebechames Loi means I bring a proof that it's worth 5. I bring a proof, not that I say 5 and I cut that if it's worth more, it's to keep the change. That's a good deal. That's a gospel. No. When I say 5 means Egel Zebechames, I bring an appraisal is worth 5. That's the way Tosha will read this, and therefore. Yes, here it's worse. Here, even by a man, you have to say that here, even a man is not soimer. By shiro, only a woman is not soimer. Machloikis of soimer or not. But by egel and talis, when I say chamesh, right, maybe Rabbi agrees. But you have to say this. He is different in the Machlokes Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef.
Why didn't it say that the place doesn't hold the job to keep the
There's no chilik between a woman and a man.
maybe place doesn't hold it there.
Although the Gemara says isha lav davka, isha ish. When you don't bring a proof to your appraisal, they don't rely. So here you don't bring a proof. So when he said egel zeh means Hamishi, because the Torah said 5. So if we say Egel Zeh for 5, you didn't say it, you spell it out. It's not spell it out because the Torah spelled it out. But when he say Egel Zeh Bechames, he means he bought a proof, he bought an appraisal. That's what it means. Bechames means he bought an appraisal. So therefore it's a raya that when I bring an appraisal, it's okay. When I bring an appraisal, it's not okay like Rav Yosef. This is the raya Lishna Kama, that's the way the Maharsha is learning. So we have here major machlokes here between the Maharsha and the Magoim Vilna. The chiluk between a man and a woman, number 1. Number 2 is when I say another point. How do I explain Bekoldu? When I say 5 and it's worth 5, it's considered cut or not. According to the Magoim Vilna, it's considered cut. Why? Because I agree that if it's worth more, I forgive you. According to Tosfos, when I say Egel Zeh and the 5 is the Torah said the 5 and it's worth 5, it's a machlokes. Even though you would say that I agree if it's worth more, you keep the change, but it's not considered cut. So I need to bring because otherwise bring it right for Lishna Bas. Let's see the Maharsha. Maharsha is why don't Tosfos says only Lishna Kam Lishna Bas. Let's see it inside. A few more minutes. The words of the Tosfos needs an explanation. But who it is? The Bedeoma opinion called when he said here, one is nothing. When he said Bekoldu, The Gabi should buy a woman like Sikh should I don't need an appraisal. Should the bottom be put like show because she's definitely not less than a pruto. Avalochi here a boy chamisha sloim. So when I say whatever it's worth, it's no good because I don't know how much it's worth. Question if it meets there when I say whatever it's worth, so for sure it meets a pruto. When I say this calf, whatever it's worth, it doesn't mean necessarily the five slaim.
I thought men know the value.
So the first chiluk, he makes a chiluk when I say the koldu buy silk clothes, buy a woman. Koldu, you say it's good because it's definitely not less than a puto. So I say whatever it's worth means it meets the minimum. But by redemption of a man of a baby boy, you can't say whatever it's worth. It's a redemption because it's not worth 5 seconds. Doesn't work. That's a knockout to the mouse, probably to the goy mivin. The goy mivin wanted to say buy a woman. She doesn't rely by koldu. You could say she relied on by 5. It's worth 5. Rabbi Yosef says that she doesn't rely, and Rabbi says she rely. But by a calf, it's a man. She relies, right? So it's not true. By a woman, why? When he says 5 was 50 and it's worth 50, she relies on it. Contrary, she doesn't rely because she can. Can marry whatever she can marry whatever she wants. And by a kohen, when it says worth 5 shekels, or when it say whatever it's worth, if it doesn't fit whatever it's worth, it's out. Because it's no minimum. There's a minimum. There's not a minimum of put. There's a minimum of 5 slaim, much more higher standard. So where's the agreement there? Must be.
I thought men know what it is.
When I say this calf for my redemption of my son means 5 slaim of redemption. Okay, he's saying, must be, you have to say, when I say, I want to redeem my son with this calf, it means 5 shekels because the Torah said 5. So you can't say because it has minimum. So the case, when I say, this is the big Kiddush, this is the big movement. When he says, this calf is for redemption of my son, according to the Maharsha means whatever it's worth. Stop. It's like stop. It's even less than whatever it's worth. According to the Maharsha, when I say this calf from my redemption, I'm saying you can't say it means whatever it's worth. It's stam or it's include whatever it's worth. Why? And then there's a problem of cut. Not a problem of smichus das. Because by a woman you can say it means whatever it's worth, but there's a minimum of puto, so for sure it's worth a puto. But by redemption of a baby son, it's a bigger number. It's 5 slaim. It's much more. So who says you have for sure in it, in the stylus, in this calf, you have part of it, you have that amount. So therefore, it's not part of stam koldu. It's part of 50. And therefore, it's a proof for the second for the first line when I say 50. And it's worth 50, it's when I say it's worth this, it's not good according to Rabbi Yosef, because lo yisam b'naita. In a minute, that's what mechdas. And when I say Hames Loi means I brought an appraisal, it works. This is the point. This is the point of the Maharsha. Let's review it and we finish with this. Maharsha learns that you can't say the Maharsha learns that the whole premise of the Rashbo and Neran that they started saying, I'll prove you that Stam is similar to Koldu. When I say marry me with this, whatever it's worth, it's similar to when I say marry you with this. What's the proof? Rabbi Yosef threw from a calf. He says, when I say redemption with this calf, it's no good. When I say 5, it's good. What's the difference? It must be, I have an appraisal with my mouth. I had a number with my mouth. When I say a cut number, it's good. When I don't say cut number, it's out. That was the proof, right? Wait a second. When I don't say a cut number, I didn't say whatever it's worth. I said this must be that this is also part of not cutting a number. That was the Rashi. Comes Toises is not true. When I say whatever it's worth, man will agree. That's only by a woman that you have the minimum for sure. because for sure with the Pluta. But by Pidabrit 5, when I say I'm going with this calf, who says it's worth 5? So therefore, who says it's not a case of Koldu? It's not a case of whatever it's worth. It's a case of 50. It's a case of saying a number, the Torah number.
But the Grand Yibum even explained the Rashi.
Yes.
Koldu itself,
I know that's the Rashba.
not say the word, whatever.
Why? What's the proof? But how do you know that? But how do you know it from Rabbi Yosef? So he says Rabbi Yosef never proof. You all prove Rabbi Yosef that Egel it's like Stam. That's true. He says Egel, it's worse than Stam. It's by a woman, Stam it's good. It's part of Koldu because the for sure you have the minimum. But by Peter I mean it's fine. So Koldu or Stam, who says it's part of the price. So therefore it must be when you say Egel Zeh means part of the price of the Torah. It's like saying 50, and it's worth 50. So therefore, the price says it's no good because we like Rav Yosef against Rav. So that's a proof. Lishnekam like Rav against Rav.
And the Hefer, he ended up, whatever the Rashba's Hefer was, he ended up that the case of Egel is called stop. He didn't say nothing, just
Right,
gave the Egel.
right.
And the case of Kedushin is also he didn't know.
Right.
He didn't say nothing, just gave it.
Right. Comes the Rashba, comes the Maharshoy, says Tosfos argue on that. He says the case of Stam of Kiddushin and the case of Stam of Pin Ben is not similar. You could say Stam by Kiddushin is part of whatever it's worth, but Stam by Pin Ben it's not Koldu. It's no good at all. Why? Because the minimum is much higher. Not Puto. That's for sure. There you need 5 slaim. Who says for sure you have 5 slaim? It's not Vadai. So therefore,
but Mendo, you said Mendo. But men, you said men know at the evaluation.
That is no good, and Rabbi says it's against Rabbi that their movement doesn't rely. When he says 5 or when he says 50, that's the guy of the match.
What's the reason why Stam? What's the reason why Stam is like Koldu? The reason why Stam is like Koldu is because the woman is willing to accept whatever it is. So therefore, if so, by opinion of Ben, say also. Accept it, whatever it is.
Yes. When you have minimum, he says you can accept easy. When you have a real serious number, it's not a full-hearted. If you have a big number, who says you have a big number? Okay. I'm not. You have to learn it yourself. We did all that because you guys didn't prepare mamash, so I had to carry you through a lot of things you don't know. Review it, and then Thursday we're going to show Crowley. I'll go much more in details and deeper details on it. And those are lechem mishnah business. But before we close the shir, I want to talk about.
But Rabbi Yitzchak, didn't you say a man knows?
We'll talk about it afterwards. The man knows how was the svol of the Goy Vilna. Somehow Tosfos doesn't hold that svol, that chiluk. He learns when the Goy Moshe is a woman, it's not Beki is Lav Dafka. Okay. Now let's go on here. Why it's so important what we're learning? Although it was a complicated shir, much more heavier than last week, as I made it much more abstract, it's more detailed. But you have to put energy in details and understand the depths of the Torah. And when a person immerses himself in the Torah, he has a connection directly to Hashem. Words of Hashem. Words of Hashem is Hashem. The hands of my hand and my thoughts, Hashem's hands and Hashem's thoughts and speech is 2 things or 1 thing. Complete unity. So Hashem's words in the Torah, in the oral Torah, the rabbis explains Hashem's words, it's connecting to Hashem himself. So the highest form of connecting to Hashem, it's learning Torah with all your strength and details and put all your energy to figure it out. That itself is the highest thing that a person in his lifetime can connect to Hashem. So sometimes it's hard. You have to put the energy, and the more you put energy, you become happier. It's words of Hashem. Tikud Hashem Yesharim, straight, the Samchei Lev, it makes the heart happy. You get filled with Torah, filled with wisdom of Hashem, it makes you happy. Hashem should give us the koyach, all of you, to review it, to put the energy, and step by step. Although this is the last week of the learning. Next month, we're going to learn a new Masechet. Masechet Ksubos. And we have a whole year. I want to glance through and Bikiyas the whole Masechet Ksubos. People should make 4 dafs a week. That's a hard Masechet. A little bit, some of it is hard, but most of it is easy. 4 times repetition of 4 times. And then also learning the whole Masechet. So you learn Kiddushin. Now, what is Ksubas about? Marriage. Kiddushin is engagement. Ksubas is about marriage. So you're jumping a higher ladder, preparing yourself closer to get married with others. Have a good day. At 1:10, I'll give him Musa Shmuz. That's